Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just witnessed a very predictable main event. But meanwhile, welcome to another edition of the Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Thank you guys so much for joining. Let us get into this review of Crown Jewel today. And let's get started. We opened up the show with Seth freaking Rollins taking on Drew McIntyre, who has been struggling with himself internally. Can't tell if we're about to get a heel turn from the guy. But nonetheless, we opened up the show with an incredible match, just like the last time WWE was in Saudi Arabia. Seth Rollins opens the match up, and we had an incredible match between himself and Drew McIntyre. Seth almost slipped on his jacket as he was entering the ring. Byron Saxton, let me just say, Byron Saxton did a good job tonight announcing some of the competitors. I think he did real good, and I think this could be a thing for him to do announce the wrestlers. I think that would do well for him because he did pretty good tonight. Not as good as Samantha and the female voice of NXT, Alicia Taylor from NXT. However, Byron, not bad, pretty good. Tonight was a really good one, or should I say today, because it's nighttime over there, where it's daytime here in America. However, today we saw Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre compete. Obviously, with Drew McIntyre, every time I see Drew McIntyre have a great match, I can't help but be concerned that we're going to get a Shawn Michaels story revisited. Now, obviously, his back was targeted with the apron and steel steps by Drew McIntyre. It took a pedigree, not enough. A stomp, not enough. He went for the corkscrew, which got countered by and Drew used the Claymore, not enough. It took a pedigree and curve stomp combo to win the match, and Seth Rollins retained the championship. But like I said, I wonder, are we on the verge of Drew McIntyre snapping and going back into his Scottish psychopath heel days? Well, there's one hint because Rhea Ripley tonight showed up and right next to Drew when going on to compete in a 5-woman tag match. Now, I will say this. Shayna and Zoe Stark look like war soldiers, whereas everyone else from Raquel and Rhea were all dressed in latex. And as many of us may know, in the Middle East, they have their modest ways of living, which I can respect. So all the women are completely covered up. However, with America having more access to things than they do because they're a lot more modest, they were covering up. However, for some people, if you're a fan of latex, you really appreciated Raquel and Rhea. But I will say this: speaking of modesty, I think the country of I think the country where they were today forbids Rhea Ripley from doing that little strange pinfall that everyone gets amused by. But the benefit of that is we are in the middle of the November challenge. And most of us live that life of morality year round. But for some people, they choose to do it all throughout the month of November. And so, with them being overseas and completely dressed up for modesty's sake, and Rhea not doing the pinfall, you're welcome, WWE fans, because WWE just made your job easier to do the challenge. But nonetheless, Shayna was great doing an ankle lock on both Raquel and Rhea while having Nia Jax in the sleeper hold. That was unique. We saw Zoe Stark fly, but in the end, Rhea Ripley with the Riptide onto the remaining competitors would win this match, and Rhea didn't do the pin. I don't think she's allowed to do the pin over there. Next, breaking news, we just found out that WWE will host War Games at Survivor Series for the second year in a row. The question is, does this mean the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match is terminated? I don't know. We have to wait and see. But it looks like tradition is going down from the looks of it. But what do you think about the decision to do War Games again? Let me know in the comments. Also, we had Solo versus John Cena. 24 hours after John's, are actually a week after John Cena, because keep in mind they double taped the show last week. After John Cena totally roasted Solo Sikoa, whatever was left of his voice was messed up tonight, because we saw John Cena have a great entrance. And speaking of modesty, the ladies were so excited that they had to put their scarf back on and adjust their scarf. I think they were very excited to see Cena, as all the women and children are, because the women and children love Cena. Whereas the guys back in the day used to chant in their deep voice, Cena sucks. But now everyone loves Cena now. Unfortunately, tonight was not John Cena's night, as it took a legion of Samoan spikes to put John Cena down. And I was like, darn. I really wanted Cena to win, not just because I'm a fan of Cena, but the statistics show that Cena needed a singles win. So I don't know what's next for John Cena. And that his GOAT status, he is nicknamed the greatest of all time. You gotta win. You gotta win at some point. And the fact that he wasn't able to win, especially tonight, is really gonna put the proclamation of him being the greatest of all time into question, because he's constantly losing. This is the second time in a year that John Cena has lost a singles match. The other time was against Austin Theory at WrestleMania. So I'm concerned. I'm a little concerned. I mean, but to the credit of Solo, Solo gave a lot of spikes. He survived the choke slam, John Cena channeling his first Marine act using the choke slam. Speaking of which, Barrett did mention that you are not going to get a quick victory against John Cena. Undertaker can disagree with that. But nonetheless, unfortunately for all of us Cena fans, John Cena did not win. But it took a whole lot of spikes to the throat to make that happen. Then we got Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio. We saw Logan make a great entrance with his little buggy car thingy, Bumblebee like. We would also see him have a great match, a pretty good match, not as good as last year. Matter of fact, the main event of last year was much better, even though we couldn't stand Logan or Roman. But tonight we saw Logan face off, or today rather, we saw Logan face off against Rey Mysterio, and thanks to one of his darn stooges, even though Santos tried to stop it, even though with all of that, with help from his stooge, Logan Paul wins. And I noticed that Logan has been taking inspiration. Today he took inspiration from the Ultimate Warrior, but he also takes big inspiration from William Regal with the brass knucks. Can anybody? No heel can win on their own these days, except for Solo Sikoa. So, matter of fact, I think Solo Sikoa will be the only in the future will be a chief that'll win. Roman is just whatever it is that Drew McIntyre said, but apparently that's a profane word, so I will not use that. I didn't know Queen with the letter F at the end was a profane word. Otherwise, I would use it, but I won't. But nonetheless, Logan wins with help. My only hope is that Ricochet takes it off of him and renews the rivalry. Whereas this Monday, they're going to have a match between Ricochet, Miz, the man of the tsunami, Bronson Reed, and one of the Raiders. By the way, one of my favorite parts of Raw is when Wade Barrett says, Tsunami! I love when he does that. But my money's on The Miz. After what happened last week, Miz is going to win that Fatal 4-Way on Raw this week. But I hope Ricochet comes for Logan Paul. And by come for Logan Paul, I mean I hope that Ricochet goes after and takes the title off of Logan Paul. See, this is why we need months like this. Do you see what the internet has done to us? I gotta explain every darn thing. Jesus. Back then, you didn't have to explain everything. But now, because people have had their heads messed up by the internet, I gotta explain every darn thing. So let me just explain. I hope that Ricochet targets and goes after Logan Paul. Let's just keep that clear so nobody gets any weird ideas. We have Bianca versus Io Sky tonight. That one was not bad match of it all, but near the end was where the shocker came. First of all, it seemed like Io Sky, obviously going back to the modest rules involving the female wrestlers, obviously Io Sky is completely covered up and looked like Lita. It looks like Io was channeling her inner Lita, even doing a moonsault off the top down to Bianca on the floor. But then we would get a surprise return, and there were rumors that Kairi Sane was coming back. And Kairi Sane appeared. For a second, I thought that was Zelina Vega because of the hairstyle. But it was Kairi Sane, and due to Kairi Sane coming back, the distraction of that, Io Sky would win and reunite with Kairi, and they would attack Bianca and continue to do damage even after Io had won the match. And Bayley was shocked to see her because it was Bayley that gave her an insulting goodbye 3 years ago. And of course, her being here, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Kyrie coming here, I think Mercedes would take credit for that and say that the standard and the blueprint kicked her butt and brought her back to WWE. I think Mercedes is going to put that on herself. By the way, I made a community post and I want to ask you guys a fun question. Who looks like Woody the best, Mercedes or Mandy? Now, I understand that some stuff might be triggering to some people, and I know everyone's trying to be as self disciplined as possible in this month. So if that's too much, I understand. But in your opinion, who was the best Woody? Or Jesse, rather? Mercedes or Mandy? Let me know in the comments. Then we had Priest versus Cody, which was a match built on Priest shattering Cody's ankle a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. Then we have a match tonight. The fans had fun singing along, and it was very intense. By the way, Priest reminds me of The Undertaker in 1999, except Priest has the hairstyle of The Undertaker 1999, but he has a face that almost looks like him and Roman Reigns are long lost brothers or cousins, in my humble opinion. But tonight we saw, or today rather, we saw Cody and Priest fight, and we thought that Cody was at risk because of his ankle being hurt. Nonetheless, he continued to compete. The Judgment Day made interferences, and Jay, who is now a Raw guy, comes out and evens the odds for Cody. And Cody would pay homage to his father with the bionic elbow and 3 crossroads to win the match. Now all that's left is Roman Reigns if The Rock doesn't challenge him first. Which, And I will say this: I'll pay to see either one of those matches, whether it be The Rock versus Roman or The Rock versus Cody at WrestleMania 40. I'll pay to see any of that. And you know what else I would love to see? I would love to see Jay versus Jimmy, along with other stuff. But let's get back to why we're here. Speaking of Roman Reigns, let's get to this predictable main event. This main event, first of all, the crowd, LA Knight, obviously international. Everyone had signs out supporting him. Paul Heyman was bouncing at ringside, which was hilarious, as LA Knight took control earlier. Unfortunately, it's the same thing over and over again. It's like missionary every single night. Well, that's the pot calling the darn kettle black, because tonight, Roman Reigns, like most of his matches, are so freaking predictable. Because once again, Solo comes out and distracts LA Knight. Then Jimmy Uso comes out, and then LA kicks out of the spear, goes for the BFT. Jimmy puts his foot on the rope so Roman can escape, then puts him in the guillotine and chokes him out for the victory. No, actually, LA Knight fought out both times, and due to distractions, he got speared. 1, 2, 3. This is so freaking predictable. I'm gonna tell y'all what's gonna happen. If y'all don't do something to keep us patient before WrestleMania 40, let me tell y'all what's gonna happen. What's gonna happen is people are gonna stop watching Roman Reigns matches. I'm telling you. If y'all don't do something, if he's in War Games, we'll still watch that because everyone's there. I just don't know who's gonna who's gonna oppose the Bloodline this year. I would love to see you. Wait, I got it. The Bloodline and a couple of members from the Judgment Day face off. Okay, we got Roman, Jimmy, Solo, Priest, and Balor, not Simp19, against LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn. I just predicted Survivor Series War Games already. But in any event, I would love to see that. But in any event besides that, if y'all don't keep us patient by WrestleMania 40, people are going to stop watching Roman Reigns matches. I'm telling you right now. They're going to stop watching Roman Reigns matches because it is too freaking predictable. But with that being said, that's all the time I have for you today. And I'll be back with another episode of All Things Wrestling soon. Have a great weekend, everybody. See ya.